How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Scarlet, and welcome back to Brand New Guys. Today we've got some Pokemon information to take a look at, so let's get started. First things first, guys, this is the major thing we got to take a look at today. This is a post by Soul Silver Art. If you do not know who this is, it's a partner member of our, I guess you could say, podcast that we're doing, and he is a leak analyst. So he analyzes a lot of actual leaks that come out, and rumors and riddles and stuff, and he has a big post here that goes into a bunch of stuff. And the reason he's putting this out there is because he thinks that we are going to be getting big news announced tomorrow, or an announcement for an announcement, because that's usually what Pokemon does. They announce something saying that, oh, they're going to announce something the next day. So tomorrow they might say, hey, you're going to get a presents on Wednesday. So just be ready for that, possibly when I'm, day after I'm recording this. But let's get into the actual information. So this is the big one. Before we get any news, here's a categorized list of all the potential leaks and new Pokemon we could get in Scarlet and Violet, plus the most realistic speculation. Enjoy. So I thought we'd take a look at this from top to bottom, break it all down, where it all is from, and all that sort of stuff. So sit back, relax, and let's get started. So number one, Ku riddles. Now, first of all, if you do not know who Ku is, I'm going to quickly explain that. Ku is a Riddler who has put out real leaks. He's a real leaker who's put out real information last year for Legends Arceus and Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl. So he was 100% correct in the past. And he has come up with new information recently, hinting towards the legendaries as well as some other stuff. Now, the first thing he says here, number one, Ku's riddles, if we got them right. A 3-type related to the gimmick. So he was hinting there might be 3 typings or some form of connection to 3 types. And then we don't really know much else about that. We think that's got to do with the feature of this game. So the equivalent to a Mega Evolution, Z-Moves, or Dynamax version of this game, like their own version for the Scarlet and Violet region and games. That's what we're assuming is going to have something to do with 3 types based on the riddle so far. Next up, the legendaries. Here you can see it's a small dragon, a fist, and a small dragon, and a electric bolt. Now, or lightning, I guess in this case. Now, what does this mean? Well, this is the typings for the legendaries that we think we know because of what the Riddler Ku has given us. And here's basically what it says. So, one of them is going to be a dragon fighting one, most likely based on just traditional values because it's using fighting, whereas the other one is dragon electric, which has to do with the future, machinery, and stuff that requires electricity. So, one is about the past, one is about the future and the present, one is about innovation, and one is about tradition. So, possibly, that's what we're looking at. Also, it says riding legendaries through all terrains and or transportation designed legendaries, more riding Pokemon, or they are only riding Pokemon, question mark. So what he means here is the Riddler Ku put out this hint or this like collage of images that showed us a bunch of legendary Pokemon that could be specifically that were being like mounted and ridden by trainers, which could imply that we might be able to ride on the legendaries in these games. Now, in what way, we don't know, but we're going to somehow be able to ride them most likely, or the ability to ride Pokemon in general will be available in this game. Next up, we have 3 bulls. Now, these 3 bulls were in an image which was relating specifically to regional forms, and most likely has to do with a regional form Tauros. That's what we're all guessing. That's what we're all assuming based on the current state of information. Next up, which is number 2. This is vague answers to Ku riddles. So, this is just general stuff. Box legendary themes. This is the one I already mentioned. Traditional / past versus futuristic new times. In turn, these same themes could also be the themes of the game's plot. Time travel may also be in play, based on the Scarlet Violet logo's hints in the official trailer. Now, what is he talking about here? Well, if you look at the actual colors of the Scarlet and Violet logo and the fonts, the Scarlet logo specifically has a more classical font, but the colors on that logo actually have the same colors as the Spanish flag that of, the current present time Spanish flag, right? It has the same colors as that. And we know that this region is already based on Spain and Portugal. Then the other one, though, for Violet, has a more futuristic font, but uses the old flag of Spain, the old Spanish flag, which is purple in it. So the point here is that it's already been hinted in the logos. One is literally a futuristic font with Violet, but has a traditional coloring, whereas Scarlet has a traditional, like, old-looking classical font, but with colors that match more present, future, aka the current Spanish flag. So there seems to be, generally, for the legendaries as well, possibly a theme of future and past, as we already mentioned. Next up, we have this right here. Now, this was something to do with a water thingy, like a gecko and whatnot, and we are assuming that the hint he gave us here was something to do with, as far as we know, a regional form for Wooper or Quagsire in this case, which we do not know 100%. This one is a bit iffy. Next is the starters. We're guessing here, based on what we can see, that the typings would be, for the grass type, Sprigatito, would be grass dark type. Fuecoco would be fire and ghost, and Quaxley would be water fighting. That's at least what we know from this so far. We continue on. There was going to be a new Objectmon. What does this mean? Well, a Pokemon based on an object. Is it going to be a clock? There's been a lot of clock mentions and clocks we've seen within the actual trailer, within the hints we've seen from Riddler Ku and stuff like that. So is there possibly going to be an object Pokemon in here? We do not know. Then he also says a new Waifumon. Well, do you want to know what this means? Basically, it's going to be another like Pokemon that people are going to be weird about and they're going to thirst over as if it's a human being or something. But people are basically going to have their jiffies all about it. So that's what I'm going to say. Just a weird Pokemon. But nonetheless, it's going to be something new like that apparently. So think a la Gardevoir and Lopunny. Something like that. Then he says riveting a regional form. So this one, same or different from previously hinted regional forms. We don't really know much about this one. And then he says Gen 9 got too many cool and creative designs. Hints to more new Pokemon than previous generation. This could imply that, yeah, we're going to get more Pokemon than Generation 8 had comparably, right? So we might have way more Pokemon than we had in those games, which is a good thing in my opinion. We move on to the next slide, which starts off with this. Possible Masuda hints. So Masuda's been putting out these tweets that have been kind of weird. One of them, which is regarding regional birds, where he basically showed off a spotless starling and possibly an eagle as well. But a spotless starlings, these guys are actually, I think they are within Spain. So could be that we're going to get a bird Pokemon based on that. And also, he hinted in previous tweets and previous posts and stuff in the past. He even mentioned it in an interview, I think, specifically Gallo de Barcelona, which Barcelos actually, not Barcelona. Gallo de Barcelos, which is basically a like a I don't know, a chicken, not a chicken really per se, but more like a, what would you call them? Male chicken. I'm trying to think. I want to say the word, but I don't want to say that word. My point is either it's basically this like black colored one, and it's more or less a zombie chicken of sorts, you could say, zombie cock, more or less, right? But that's basically what it is. And what am I trying to say here is basically that he did actually talk about that possibly being a Pokemon, and it most likely could be because it is based, within Spain in their, history and stuff like that, and their, well, I guess mythology and all that sort of stuff. So it possibly could be happening. Next, we have number 4, the Chinese Uncle info. Now, if you do not know who the Chinese Uncle is, also if you do not know who Masuda was, by the way, he's one of the main developers and people that works over at Game Freak and the Pokemon Company, and has been involved in making most of the Pokemon games. Either way, the Chinese Uncle, though. Now, the Chinese Uncle is an individual that we don't really know exactly who they are, but they've given information in the past and been correct and been around for a long time. And they said the following things. Cut content of many previous games. Scarlet Violet trademarked in 2008. So a lot of content that may have been cut in previous games may show up here in terms of Pokemon and stuff we may have seen from leaks and stuff like that in the past. There's a number of new Pokemon, like loads of new Pokemon, just like Generation 1, 3, and 5. Some correlation with Ku here, because Ku said the same thing. Then you have Tauros, which is going to be a Minotaur, new form for it, and an Evo, and kind of half correlation here with Ku, so kind of connects to what Ku was saying as well. And then Ratoncito, which is kind of like a Spanish tooth fairy of sorts, you could say, but a Ratoncito regional form. So some Pokemon that's kind of a rat, so it could be Dedenne or something, is going to get a regional form of sorts. Then it mentions PLA Pokemon story and mechanics hinted to Scarlet and Violet, which also does connect with Ku in some way or shape with some of the stuff he said in the past as well about Scarlet and Violet. Then he mentions the gimmick, which is similar to Final Fantasy job changing. Basically, if you've never played Final Fantasy, it basically implies that, like, if you have classes, think of like you being a mage. Well, if you're a mage, you don't have to, per se just stay a mage. You can become a this mage or that mage, like a blue mage, etc. A dark mage, it doesn't matter. Or black mage, I think, something like that. Basically, you can split off into different possible things. You don't have to stay as one single, thing. You can do multiple different options, right? But with types, basically adding a type to an existing type is what it's trying to imply here. Then we have number 5, speculation based on potential hints. Magikarp regional form or new fish Pokemon based on the PLA hints we got, within actually there. And then Dustox regional form from Sword and Shield. This is specifically referring to one of the female characters from the expansion pass. If you guys ever played the the Isle of Armor from Sword and Shield, there was a female character there who had like a thingy on her head and on her back, what looked like a Dustox, but it didn't look like a regular Dustox. It looked different. Then number 6, well-educated speculation, a rainbow third legend, so a dragon, or a peacock possibly, maybe an out of Australian origin possibly here, according to Soul Silver art. And then also Pokemon types represented as rainbows and colors. aka mixing colors in the light relates to the gimmick. So basically the idea of like, Scarlet and Violet being related to ultraviolet and, like infrared in this case, right? Which are two thingies on the opposite sides of the, color spectrum that we cannot physically see with our eyes that are technically invisible. And then on top of that, the region may start with the letter A possibly. And the final thing, starters themes may be fairy tales. So they might be based on some sort of fairy tales that have existed in the past. So that's pretty much it for this one, guys. That's all the information that was in there. This is just to prepare us in case anything drops tomorrow. I'm still a bit skeptical. I really hope it happens tomorrow. I really hope we get an announcement, I guess. I really do hope so, that we're going to get the information finally announced and revealed and all that. But if it doesn't happen this week, then it's guaranteed next week, because that is the last possible time frame they can do it before we're getting to that point where they're going to start doing Nintendo Directs, which is not going to work, because you got to remember, Pokemon likes to do their stuff separate from all the other people. They want to be separate and be given their own personal attention outside of every other video game and stuff like that. So keep that in mind, ladies and gentlemen. That's going to be it for today's video. If you guys did enjoy, drop a like down below, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace out, and bye-bye, ladies and gents.